Hi folks, Chris Kittleson, Pronghorn Productions. In our last installment of Turkey Calling 101, I discussed some various calls you can make with your turkey callers. Now I want to put them to use in an actual hunting situation. So come on along and I'll show you how to call in some big old gobblers. Let's start out in a hunting situation typical of your first hunt of the day. We're going out before first light, probably a half hour before first light. And what we want to do is get up on a ridge top where we can hear those birds sounding off. If you had one roosted the night before, you know where you're going, so you don't necessarily need to do this. But if you haven't had a chance to roost that bird the night before, this is what I normally do in the mornings. I'll get out on a ridge where I can get at least a good half mile around me of listening where there's good timber. And I'll listen for maybe 10-15 minutes, and if I don't hear anything, what I'm going to do is try a locator call. And in the morning, the best locator call to try is an owl hoot. What I do is use my voice, and this is what it sounds like. Now, the first call you make, you don't want to be aiming it right at the woods where you think there's turkeys roosted, because you don't want those turkeys to think there's a 400-pound owl up on the ridge waiting to eat them. So what I normally do is the woods I'm planning to hunt, I'll face the other way, and I won't call quite as loud. But the most important thing about the owl hoot that I've found to get those eastern gobblers to sound off anyways is the whoo at the end. And basically the cadence is this: who cooks for you, who cooks for you all. And here it is again. Woo, 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 woo. Woo, 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 woo. Normally that roll at the end is what's going to get that gobbler to hammer back at you. Then you know what tree he's in. You can make your way down there and set up on him. Get as tight as you think you can to that bird, because the closer you get, the better chance you're going to get him to come to you before some hens intercept him. Now I'm set up. I know where that gobbler's at. I got 120 yards within him. And now what I want to do is set up against a tree, and the first call I'm going to make after I'm all set up and let the woods calm down from me rustling around or whatever, is tree yelp. And a tree yelp is a little different than a normal mating yelp or an assembly yelp. Tree yelp is that bird just woke up in the morning. That hen's just waking up, and she's going to make maybe a real soft cluck, real soft. And if that gets that bird fired up and he gobbles at you, don't call anymore, because he already knows where you're at. But if it doesn't get him fired up and he doesn't answer that, what I'll do is wait about 2-3 minutes, and I'll just real soft, real slow. That hen is just waking up. She's buck, buck, buck. And generally it'll get that guy fired up, and he'll gobble right back at that. Once he does, I put that call away and I wait till he flies down. The more you call that bird in the tree, the more he expects you, the hen, to come to him. So, like I said, once I get him fired up and he's gobbling, I'm done calling until he hits the ground. Now, once he hits the ground, hopefully he's going to come right into me, and I won't have to call anymore. I'll have my bow ready, or for you gun guys, you'll have your gun up on your shoulder and ready for him and just follow him in. But it doesn't always work that way, and it rarely actually works that way. I've got a little trick that I normally do. If I'm far enough away from that gobbler that he's not going to see me, I'll take a wing, and this is a aftermarket Primos wing, but you can make them out of a real turkey wing if you'd like. You just dry the meat around the 4 or 5 feathers on that wing, and you can carry it with you. But this is great for doing fly downs and fly down cackles. But also before that, even when that gobbler's still in the tree, and after I've hen yelped to him, I'll be up against a big old oak tree here, and I'll scratch that on that tree. It sounds like that hen's waking up, and she's ruffling her feathers a little bit, and she's rubbing them up against the tree. That alone a lot of times will get that gobbler to sound off. Even if he won't gobble at your yelp, he'll gobble at this, because that sounds like a real hen. You know, that hen's in that tree. She's waking up. She's getting her feathers ready to go. She's stretching. She's almost ready to fly down. When it's just about time to fly down, and you'll know this with experience more than anything, nobody can really tell you what time the birds fly down. Best thing is to listen for the other birds around you, to hear those wing beats coming down, or you'll hear a hen yelping from the ground where before she was yelping up in the tree. You can tell with a little bit of experience. But anyway, just before or right after that gobbler flies down, what I want to do is, and like I said, if I'm far enough away, if I'm within 100 yards, I don't do this because you're too close. Unless there's a lot of cover, he's going to bust you. But if I'm far enough away, I'm going to make a fly down cackle. And it goes something like this. Make it sound like that hen just took off out of that tree and landed on the ground. A lot of times I don't even make the fly down cackle. I'll just make the wing beat. Fly down, hit the ground. Once I hit the ground, I'm just gonna just says, I'm here, I want you to come to me now. That gobbler generally will answer to that. And he's going to do one of two things. He's going to start circling around you to come in and see that hen. And this is the other thing, when you set up on a bird, you want to have some sort of obstacle that funnels that bird to the front of you. You don't want that bird to get behind you because you can't necessarily turn around and get on him. There's just too much movement involved. He's going to pick you off. So if I can set up with a fence behind me or something that's going to keep that bird, you know, in the front 180 degrees of me, more the better. Because if he gets behind me, he can come in 10 yards behind me and I'm stuck. I can't do anything. The gobbler's coming in. What he's going to do is circle around. He's going to want to get to a point where he can see that hen from a ways away, 75, 80 yards away. Out of your gun range, well out of your bow range. But he wants to know that that hen is there. He wants to know what he's hearing. He wants to see as well. Once he starts coming to you, don't call anymore. All you're doing then is taking the chance that he's going to pick you off because he can pinpoint your sound from 150, 200 yards away. He knows exactly which tree that sound is coming from. The more sound you make, the closer he gets, the more chance he's going to see you. So generally, like I said, I'll shut up. I won't say anything else. I'll let him come in. I'll let him come all the way into range. If he's hung up, say 60, 70 yards out, I'm just going to make some clucks and purrs. I'm not going to yelp at him. Because like I said, I don't want him to pick me off, but I'll just generally in nature, that's the way it goes. Gobblers don't go to hens. Hens go to gobblers to breed. So we're working against nature. So you got to play on his emotions. You want to get him fired up as much as you can by saying, I'm here, but I don't necessarily want you that bad. You come to me and we'll see what happens. If that doesn't work, and let's say he's hung up out there and he's strutting and all of a sudden he starts moving off, let him move off. Let him get 200 yards out, pick up your stuff, get around to, let's say, 75 yards ahead of where he's going. Set up and start calling to him again. And in that situation, I'm not gonna make a single peep as far as calling until I get all set up ahead of him. And then once I get set up, I'm just gonna soft, because you don't know exactly where he's at. He might only be 40 yards from you in the thick stuff. So when I reposition myself, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a casual yelp. He might sound off to that, he might not, but I'm going to wait probably anywhere between 30 seconds and a minute. If I don't hear him, I'm going to throw a couple clucks in and then I'm going to increase the volume a little bit. If I still don't hear them and I don't see them, because a lot of times they'll move in silently too. They aren't always going to gobble at you, but even when they're interested, they're not always going to gobble, especially in the later seasons. But if I don't hear anything, I don't see anything, I'm going to wait maybe up to 5 minutes before I call again.